Hey guys, welcome back to the Why Wars Happen History podcast, where you learn about the causes of wars and things like why did it happen? Was it inevitable? Who was involved? Sometimes I go back hundreds of years just so we can understand what the hell happened. And if you want to talk more about war, we also have authors, historians, war generals, royalty, actors, filmmakers, a whole bunch of people come on as guests, and we talk about everything about war before, during, and after war. So let's go. Welcome to the Why Wars Happen History podcast, where we tell the story of the politics and events that happen behind history's biggest wars. And we also chat with filmmakers, authors, and historians about war or about comedy about war, which is what we're doing today. So today we're sitting down with producer, writer, showrunner, all around hilarious creator, Sarah Peters. Sarah, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm very excited to have you. I watched the whole thing probably in like one day. Um, I was like literally crying laughing about this. So we're talking about Making History. It's a TV series that is a time traveling from the 21st century to the 18th century, right before the American Revolution. And it's a comedy, it's a time travel story, it's kind of a love story, kind of a buddy story. Can you tell us just a little bit
Got it all.
about
It has
what it
something for
is?
everyone.
Yeah.
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 You described it perfectly. It was like one of those shows that has a high concept to it, being time travel, but is also just very silly in a way that to me makes it more grounded. Because you have the kind of like silliness of real life and of real modern attitudes juxtaposed with
Mm-hmm.
of course, the American Revolution. So
Mm-hmm.
yes.
And remember to like and subscribe, or the Allies get it. Yeah, so without giving too much away, it basically there's a guy who doesn't know that much about history that time travels to right before Paul Revere's ride, and he does something that makes it not happen. And so now he has to bring his professor buddy from the present into the past to try to fix it. And it's just hilarious all the way around. Um,
Thank you.
oh my God. So,
Um,
and I love how you guys just launched right into there without the whole like, how does this time machine work? How did he get, like, you don't need any of that for the story, and it just works. I love how you launch right into it.
that's right.
Can I ask, is beautiful location, where was that filmed?
I wasn't a part of shooting the pilot. The creator, Julia Sharp, made, the pilot and produced that, and that all happened before the writing staff joined. That was filmed, like, in the, Boston area, I believe.
God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
It's
gorgeous.
like in the woods and yeah, super, super cool. Okay. Okay. I have to ask, what's with the ham? Where did that come from?
It's just one of those things. It's like, there's so many things that happen in a writer's room that just make each other laugh, or just things from life that are just so silly, and you get addicted to bringing them up over and over again, and then it just makes its way all the way in, and it's just so funny. I think it's just something like that that was just kinda like, "Wouldn't it be funny if we actually did this?" And
It was really
yeah.
funny. At first you're like, what? And then you're like, oh yeah, I can roll with this. I'm rocking this idea.
Yeah, but, like, off what you were saying, I think, like, time travel in science fiction can be so tricky. And I think we did have a physicist come and talk to us and explain things a little bit,
Okay.
but it was like at the end of the day, it's more like the rules can be whatever as long as you follow them.
Okay,
Like
right.
you
Like
can make your
storytelling.
own, like time travel can look different ways, I think. And none of us was a major nerd in terms of that. And we tried to educate ourselves. And then it was like, well, I don't know.
Honestly,
Like,
honestly, if you watch, The Flash, which I love,
yes.
but like it eventually gets to the point where you're like, I'm just gonna have to take it all on faith and like that this is part of what's going on, like even if it's not super scientific, like
Yes, because
yeah,
it doesn't really exist. So,
yeah, 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 yeah. You can just go with it.
or maybe it does.
And this show, it's funny because I was trying to talk to my husband about it. I was like, you have to watch it with me. And he's like, okay, the trailer's really funny, but kind of is it going to hold up throughout the whole thing? And I was really surprised it did. The whole thing, it felt like, when you're watching Family Guy and you're like, how do they not get not funny? How does it keep being funny throughout the whole thing all the time? And that's what this show does. It and I have to ask, the Celine Dion thing, was that
Oh my
was that
god.
like
Oh, you mean
r-
Cher?
or
Okay.
there's the near
Oh, there is a
far and then
yes.
the yeah and
Yes,
then the
yes,
show me
yes.
the money, like all
Okay.
of these things using things from the present to impress people from the past. Where how did that come about? So
I guess it's
funny.
like again, it's like one of those just silly things that is ultimately very grounded when you think about what a person like Dan would do in that situation. Someone who feels like, things aren't going his way. He's a little bit an outsider, but it's a little bit his own problem. So it's like instead of actually, fixing what he might need to emotionally. He'll just take a shortcut and get a little attention with the limited resources he has, so
I think we've all like
Yes.
fantasized about if we go into the past, I would totally, write Green Day songs or Beatles songs, or
Yes.
like
Yeah,
everybody kind of thinks that at some point.
or
So
like
that
Mr.
seemed
Stock
real.
or yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I felt seen during that. Like that's me. That's I
Yeah.
would do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love that about the show, that he has this kind of innocent, this losery, dorky innocence that, is so silly, but ultimately so relatable, yeah.
totally, totally. He pulled that off very well. In the writers' room, were you guys just like throwing stuff out there like this is really funny and this is really
Yeah,
funny?
I mean, we did initially, and again, this is like to Julia Sharp, who's the creator and also was a Family Guy writer, so maybe that
Oh,
has
yeah.
something
Huh.
has something to do with your theory. But, he assembled a really dynamic group of writers, and we really gelled, and I think it felt like a safe place to bring up kinda wacky ideas and things and just sort of see what sticks. So we did just talk about a lot of historical events that would be funny, to include in the show at first, just as a jumping off point, and then we decided to make things really serialized and always be, like, character driven, of course,
Oh, yeah.
with the twists and turns along the way, but we did have more episodes planned, so it a little bit became I think we initially planned for 12 episodes, and then it
Oh.
got shortened to 9, which I
Oh.
didn't know could happen, but I
I
guess
didn't know that could
anything could happen.
happen. Yeah,
I've
that's
learned.
interesting.
So it was like the second half of this season, we did have to make kind of like more adjustments on the fly in terms of, kinda wrapping things up more, and that eliminated a lot of the kinda like more fun one-off things and kept it to be
Mm.
more about like the American Revolution figures like the, Hancock and Adams coming back and forth and again, I mean, that was like a testament to the cast as well that it was just so amazing and you have people like
It's a
Pacey.
funny storyline when you guys
Yeah.
shifted to that. I was not expecting the story to go that way, and I was just there for it. I was like,
We
"I'm
weren't either.
riding
I
this
mean,
train."
they were
Yeah.
just so funny, like, everything they did was so funny, and, it was one of those situations too where, like, the cast and the writers, like, all really got along, and it really felt like teamwork, and then we had this director, Jared Hess, who did, um, a few of the episodes, who is just so amazing and collaborative as well that it was a really nice, and very rare experience with that kind
Yeah.
of dynamic, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they pulled it off very
Yeah.
don't be nasty, Chris.
Don't be nasty. Yeah,
That
nasty, that's so funny, yeah.
oh my god, that is I'm, like, literally, like, tearing up, crying a little bit remembering how
Yes.
funny that was. So, like, was the filming delayed a little bit by everybody just breaking down laughing all the time, or how
Yeah,
did
we had
that
a good
go?
time. We had a good time. I think, like, it was pretty people know how to lock in. You've got pros there like, Adam Pally and Leighton Meester who are just so, so good and so professional and able to kinda,
Yeah.
like, lock in, but, yeah, I laughed so much at that job at every step of the process. Just
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was
I did what was the most ridiculous thing that kind of got thrown out there that maybe didn't make it into the show,
man, that is so it's
if you
hard for
can
me to
say?
remember. I mean, one of the things that I can't believe actually did go in that we were just laughing about so much is like or wait, did it go in? The, Hancock and Adams on the hoverboards? That happened, right?
Yes, yes, it did.
Okay.
That okay, that was ridiculous,
That
but
was
like again, I loved
ridiculous,
it.
and it did make
Yeah.
sense. So, I think that was probably one of the craziest things, and it was just like, well, I don't know, costumes are so funny, like, when you just have those guys just doing their thing, and I don't know, I'm dumb, I like just the contrast of a hoverboard and a, revolutionary, full outfit on, so
And the homeless bit, like begging for
yeah.
money because you can't really make it in the 21st century,
Oh, yeah,
that was very ridiculous and funny. I can't get that image out of my head.
I know.
Uh,
Oh my god. I should have
was there
rewatched these before this. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this show was amazing."
It was so funny. I was dying. I My husband didn't end up watching the whole thing with me, but there was a lot of times where I was like, "I have to show you this really funny part." And
Yeah.
I'd like pull him aside, and be like, "Look, you have to watch this." And like it's just like I loved it. Was there a lot of ad-libbing or like was it pretty just forward on the script?
Yeah, there's always ad-libbing when, you have a lot of the cast was really good improvisers,
Mhm.
but, we also as on a lot of shows, you have writers on set who help kinda throw ideas in and things like that, so it always shapes up a little differently when you're filming, yeah, and that's so
Yeah.
great when actors can bring that to the table as well, and we definitely
Oh
had that.
yeah. Great, great cast.
Yeah.
How How did you g I have to ask, like, this is just such a concept with the American Revolution, and it's hilarious, but it's really serious, and how did you guys manage to decide, like, "Okay, we're gonna emphasize this part, or we're gonna exaggerate this part in a comedy?" Like, was that really hard?
No, it was super easy. It's like we had a really Julia Sharp, he goes by Goldie. He was the showrunner and creator, and he just had such a, clear vision, and the script for the pilot was just such a he just really hit this tone so well, and that everyone was able to lock into that, I think is really a testament not just to his writing, but his, like, leadership as well, um,
Mm,
that he was able to, have a group of people all interact with, like, this really specific tone.
it meshed really well.
Yeah, it did.
Um, yeah, so can I don't know if you know about the back end part of it a little bit, but I have my own experience. I do producing and screenwriting also, and so I have to ask, period pieces are so notoriously difficult
Yeah.
to get funding for, to get greenlit, and everyone's like, "I'm not touching this," even if you have like incredible cast attached to it. How was this really hard to get greenlit because of the period piece aspect of it?
Gosh, I don't know. I remember
Mm,
because I wasn't involved at that point, like, they had already
okay, yeah,
shot the pilot and greenlit it and everything, but it was,
yeah,
like, the hot pilot that year, like, for network shows, like, it was, like, "Ooh, making history. You getting a
yeah.
meeting for that?" Or, like, it was already it had some, cred behind it because like, the pilot itself just turned out so good. So I think
Yeah,
that's how
okay,
I think,
yeah.
like, it just all came together in the pilot, which they filmed before greenlighting it, I guess, and it was
And
like,
it's so
"It's
different.
there." Yeah,
It's not just like another series about Samuel Adams or something. Like it's
right.
so different. So, okay. Okay. It can If you're pitching this, what would you say it's what meets what? It's hard to describe. It's like
I mean, Family Guy is a little bit the style of the humor, right? But it
yeah,
does
yeah.
also have this kinda, like, '90s nostalgic thing, like, with the credits and like, the style of the trailer and things like that had a little bit of
And for those of you out there that like 90s nostalgia, there is a 90s nostalgia episode.
Oh, yeah,
So,
there is that too.
yeah.
But I think, like, there was a reference of I forget what there was, like, some car commercial from the '90s, like, some silly commercial that was used as a reference, when they were making the title sequences. And I think it like
Yes.
it like a little bit captured the spirit of the show. It was one of those like minivan commercials that's
Oh my god.
just kind of,
Okay, I'm feeling it. I'm
which I can't
feeling that.
remember what
Yeah.
it was, but I think it has the innocence of kinda like almost a pre-digital age that feels kinda 90s to it,
Yes.
right? Um,
Cozy.
yeah, it is cozy. It's
Mhm.
a great time of year to watch the show again, yes.
It is. I don't know what Thanksgiving and fall, like, that whole era is like American Revolution
Yeah, you want like a period
time.
piece.
Yeah, totally, totally. Did you guys, like, bring in a historian, or were you just like, "Eh,
No,
we know
we
enough."
did not. We Googled things.
Good old Google, yeah, okay. Did you find that people, like, history buffs were kind of like, "This is cool," or were people kind of disgruntled, like, "This is a
Oh gosh,
desecration of
they were making
our
history
founders."
too funny. Um,
Yeah, like, "Oh,
not
don't do that."
not about how funny it was. Not they didn't come to me if they were.
That's good.
I didn't,
That's good.
get doxxed or anything for being a part of this. Oh, not that I know of.
Well, yeah. Well, for those of you again listening, our our season 1 of the narrative side of our podcast is all about the American Revolution, and we love the American Revolution and our founding fathers. And so, it, that said, you'll love this show. It's really funny and it's not offensive. So, I don't think
It's
so,
not.
at least.
I mean, there's, like, poop
Yeah.
jokes. I don't know. It's, like, very, like it's, like, between PG and PG-13 even.
Mhm. Yeah.
Neat.
It's like just at that age where my 12-year-old might like it, like,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Feel
Uh,
subversive to them and a little dangerous, but yeah, there's not gonna be any, like,
so
job jokes or anything.
no. So so you yourself have a background in comedy,
Yes.
right? And you worked on Ghosted, Master of None, and you're also doing Harley Quinn. You're the showrunner for
Yeah,
Harley Quinn now.
yeah.
Okay. So how did you do all this comedy? So how
Oh,
did you
it's
get
so
into
fun.
that?
How did I get into it? Just by being such a bitch, like, just being so annoying and ambitious and just clawing
Yeah.
my way, up the pile of men to, the position I'm in now. But, no, I mean, I started out as, like, a PA on
Mhm.
American Dad. I would, like, deliver the scripts and get lunch and stuff like that, and, I'm
Traditional.
not
Okay.
really a performer. Even being on a podcast, like, makes me nervous because 'cause I'm just
Sorry.
that's not no, it's good. It's good practice for me. I need to, like, push those, like, edges or whatever. But, so I, studied screenwriting in college and just came out like a total psycho to LA and just believed I was better than everyone else, and just
You
kept lying to
gotta.
people until they gave me opportunities, and then when I got those opportunities, I took advantage. So, yeah, just by being, like, truly annoying,
That is fantastic.
yeah.
That's
I mean, I don't
fantastic.
know, it's the truth, like, it's just one of those things where you're like, there's no path. I was I guess you could say I went, like, the assistant route or whatever, but I don't know if that even exists anymore, since
No.
COVID and the strike and
Yeah.
all of that. I don't know what my path would be now,
And now
but
that everything's
yeah.
virtual, it's kind of like you're at home, you have your own lunch and you have your own coffee and you have your
Yeah,
own, like,
you're not, like,
yeah.
walking to the car with someone that you don't know that well and breaking the ice. It's like a yeah,
Mhm.
there aren't those little, like, downbeat moments that really help a group gel.
Yeah. Well, and at
Exactly.
the same time, now you don't have to be in LA
That's
to
true.
be a writer. So that's pretty cool, I think.
Yes.
Because LA has gotten crazy over the last 10 years. And so that's really nice for people, I think.
Yeah. That's true. Yes. Yes. A
Yeah.
silver lining.
Yeah. Yeah. Silver lining for sure. And so I wanted to ask, is this different now that you're doing show running? And it's a little bit more of a not so wackadoo kind of comedy that you're working on right
Yeah.
now. And so, how different of an experience is that going from one to the other?
Gosh, I mean, you've mentioned, several shows I've written on, and I think I've written on something like 10 first season shows as well. So I've done comedy in basically all different subgenres. Like, I've done more romantic comedy, like
Mm.
Master of None, or, more high concept things like Ghosted and this, and then even, yeah, going into Harley, which is, you know, has that's a show with a lot of, a fan base that really expects certain things and, being like DC canon and all of that, there are different, expectations and more kinda like, uh, external perspectives to include, but for me, like, I'm not even a comic book nerd at all, so
Shh,
I
shh. No, I'm just
know,
kidding.
it's sorry, everybody, but we had that point of view represented by many other people involved, so,
Mhm.
I'm just honest about what I bring to the table, and it wasn't that, although Batman Returns is my favorite movie. Speaking of this time of year, it's an amazing Christmas movie.
Yeah,
A
actually,
high
yes.
recommend for everyone. But yeah, I think I always come to any project from a character perspective and just locking into the voice and the point of view of, the creator, the showrunner, and the characters. And there's always something that I can lock into and bring myself to. And uh, it always starts there for me. So,
Mm.
um, a show like Harley, for example, like, I just got inside, Harley and Poison Ivy's mindset, and what is funny and ironic about the situations they put themselves into, and, it ended up being probably the most personal writing I've ever done on that show, um,
Oh.
just by the nature of it having 2 female leads, I think, which I haven't done much of before.
Yeah, that is kind of rare.
Yeah.
And I've seen your name a lot on Reddit, and I saw that you did an AMA
Yes.
for Harley Quinn, and everybody loves what you're doing with the show. So if you
Thank
feel
you.
pressure, just feel a little relieved by that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm not actually involved in season 5,
Oh, I was
which
gonna
is coming
ask.
out
Okay.
soon, but yeah, but I ran season 4 and I was on, season 2 and 3 as well. So yes, it's a big part of, um, of my career, and I love being a part of that show, but I was ready to move on after season 4,
And
yeah.
you did an AMA on Reddit,
Yes.
and that is more terrifying to me than anything
I
you
know,
could
I was
possibly
scared,
say.
but people are so nice. People really the fans that we have on the show are just like are amazing are just, like, so
Mhm.
amazing, and, the questions were really thoughtful, and, um, yeah, I loved it, actually, interacting with them there, yeah.
Oh, well,
It
that's
was
awesome.
scary,
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
'cause I
Yeah,
didn't have a
yeah.
Reddit, I had to, like, create a Reddit account, I'm
Oh,
just like,
really?
I don't know. It's
Oh my
just all sort
gosh.
of foreign to me, but, it was really cool, and it's really cool to see a positive response to something that felt, like I said, personal, and then also at the same time, like, we did the writers' room all on Zoom, like, it all aired during the writers' strike, so I didn't get to do any press, and
Oh,
all the writers, from season 4 didn't really have that experience of, like, being out there and getting kinda, like, the attention and the
yeah.
acclaim and interacting, so I was really excited about any opportunity to talk about it and talk about the work of that was an amazing group of writers, season 4 of Harley.
Yeah, it's pretty popular, and
Yeah.
again, you're very brave for going on to
Thank
Reddit
you.
AMA. Yeah, and before we go, I wanted to ask you, what can we expect from you in the future? Are you working on anything now?
Oh, yeah, baby. I
Oh,
am
yeah.
you know yeah, I'm developing a few things. I'm actually adapting, the graphic novels Tank Girl, into oh!
Story.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Yay. I started on it this week. So I've just started thinking about like the pilot and I'm really excited about that. And I'm
is it
taking a
gonna be
pretty big
animated?
swing. It's animated and it's gonna
Okay.
concept is like kind of out there. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to see how it's received by everyone. But
So excited. That's
yeah,
really good.
it's a challenge of taking that kind of character that's so emblematic of the time period where it was
Mhm.
created and, like, bringing like, how do you, that punk attitude and everything, like,
Yeah.
apply it to what's going on today, but also futuristic. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of layers there.
Yeah, you're like
It's
going into the
time
past to
travel,
make it
it's as
future.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That is fantastic.
yeah, I'm
So maybe a year from now, we might hear something about
I
that.
don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know how these things work. It's
Mm.
all a black box to me, the business side. I'm just like,
It's
I have
yeah,
Google Docs open and I send emails and I don't know.
yeah. Well, all I can say is it can only go up from here. 'Cause it's a little dismal right now, but I think
It
it's
is. We
gonna
need Tank
recover.
Girl
Yeah,
to
yeah.
save
But
us.
Tank Girl's awesome. Who doesn't love Tank Girl? So I think you got something going for you there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally. And then I have other projects as well, but that's the one that's kind of at the top of the list right now. And
very cool.
yeah,
Cool. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
thank you.
I'm very happy that I got to talk to you about this series and happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you. This was great.
Yeah. All right. Bye.